Hello, welcome to our podcast. I'm Maddie,
I'm Nolan.
My name's Mark.
My name's Will.
and today we're going to talk about how music portrays the self.
So the first things we want to talk about is actually a song by Kendrick Lamar. The name of the song is "The Art of Peer Pressure." You've heard it, obviously.
Yeah, I've heard it before, and I think it's a big song to talk about since we are all going through stages of our lives where we can get affected by our peers and by our friends to do things that aren't naturally done by us. But
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
So have you know of it, but have you listened to it or no?
I definitely have listened to this entire album. I
Yeah.
just don't remember this exact song. It sounds familiar.
Yeah. If you heard it, you definitely remember it. But
I haven't heard it.
you
What's
haven't
the song
heard it.
about?
So basically, the song is about how the name of the album is "Good Kid, Mad City," and the good kid is Kendrick Lamar. It's himself. He's singing about himself mostly in the album, and Mad City is Compton, California. Basically, he's singing about. And in the song, he's talking about how peer pressure has affected him growing up, and how he got out of Compton as the good kid, and he wasn't pulled into the lifestyle that everybody around him was portraying and getting caught into, which was basically drugs and violence. And a lot of his friends still today that are also rappers are still involved in that, but he has remained the good kid, and that's what he loves to sing about. And he talked about it in more than just Good Kid, Mad City and The Art of Peer Pressure, but The Art of Peer Pressure, it's mostly in that song. And
Yeah, it sounds great.
Actually, I don't mean to interject
Yeah,
too
go
much,
ahead.
but I heard a similar song by J. Cole making some similar points. What was it? 1985, when he was just going after those younger rappers, and he was talking about how they're not exactly they're portraying that lifestyle rather than trying to be more conscious of their lives and the lives of those around them.
So it kind of feels like a lot of artists use their personal experiences to sing about it, and they want to express themselves through music. But I think also, as listeners, we can use their personal experiences and learn from them. So for example, I'm a huge country fan, and like a lot of the country singers also sing about their personal experiences, and I've learned a lot from them. So for example, like Kenny Chesney has a song called "Don't Blink." Basically talks about how life flashes before your eyes, so make sure you like experience it and
a cool
appreciate
title.
everything about it. Yeah, exactly. Tim McGraw also has one called "Humble and Kind." Kind of explains the importance of just being a good person, you know. So I think
I love that song.
yeah, it's great. It's great. You can definitely learn a lot from songs. I think for sure.
Anyway, going back to the Art of Peer Pressure, I think we can talk about that a bit more.
Yeah, for sure.
So like in Kendrick's interviews, like it's such a big topic to him. He talks about how you are a result of your environment, and how Good Kid, Mad City he's not a result of his environment. He's beat the system practically.
Right.
He's in To Pimp a Butterfly. Basically, he's the butterfly, and he's bloomed. And what's that one line that he talks about how I can't remember it right now, but basically he's talking about how he was able to become the person he is in an environment as he grew up in. But anyway, it really reminds me of the nature versus nurture argument. And obviously Kendrick Lamar believes in nurture, right? You're a result of your upbringing and the things that happen around you rather than nature, that it's predetermined from the start. What do you guys think? Would you guys agree in the nurture argument, or would you disagree with Kendrick Lamar and say that it's more of a nature side?
I think it is a lot about how you're brought up, because you see different people coming from different circumstances, and they definitely have a different outlook on life just because of their prior experiences. But I do think some nature does come into it. I can't think of just specific circumstances with nature, but
No, but like for example, if people in your family had been more prone to, I don't know, things like violence or crime, like
Yeah.
I think there's a solid argument to be made for you having a disposition towards that. But I know people who've done some like pretty bad things, and their parents were completely lovely people, right? So I think there's a solid argument on both sides for that.
Yeah.
The one thing I do like about the song is every verse is a different thing him and his friends go out and do, and at the end of every verse he says, like, I'm usually not like this,
Yeah.
usually I'm drug free, usually I'm not a violent person, but like whatever, I'm with the homies, who cares? Because he's trying to impress people around him, he's trying to like be a different person that like fits in with this society he grew up with
Yeah.
in Compton. And like though like attacking people isn't something we're used to. Like I think we've all been in circumstances where we've been offered drugs or like booze or something when we're underage, and like
Yeah.
like the art of peer pressure does come and affect us all, and like it's decisions you have to make, and it sucks because like you're at such a young age, so you're very impressionable. So these circumstances really develop the kind of person you are and like the ways you react to these decisions. So
Exactly.
that's what I think.
And I think being our age, like university students, a huge struggle is trying to fit in and trying to be like everybody else. So peer pressure is a huge deal. Being fake and acting like everyone else, even though you don't believe in it, that's like one of the biggest struggles. So by him making this song, kind of motivates us to go against the norm.
Yeah, especially in high school. I think it's definitely changing a lot now. I really saw that in high school. I'm sure you guys saw it in high
Oh,
school.
And cliques are
Like
formed.
people clicks. Like when people get to university, it's like it's the same people, but it's like they've lost it now. And like that transition over the summer is like
I think I'm with Mark on that one. I feel like everybody's kind of matured a bit because it's like you're not sort of stuck into who you were
exactly.
in high school. So people have kind of like realized that stuff doesn't matter as much, but for sure in high school.
Yeah. Another note I wrote down under the art of peer pressure was how people are different around others rather than when they're around their friends rather than around themselves. Like, I don't know if you guys have had friends like personally that like you're talking to them, you're hanging out, and they're a certain type of person, and then you're hanging out with somebody else, and it's like they change, or maybe they're acting different towards you around others because they don't want to be perceived differently. I've had a
It's
friend.
like they almost put like a mask on,
Exactly.
depending on who they're with.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate they feel like they have to be that way, but that's again a common struggle of
Yeah,
our age.
that comes with maturity and just growing up and realizing like growing into yourself, right?
Being comfortable in
And
your own skin.
yeah, I think it's definitely a confidence thing,
Yeah.
right? Like, 'cause people just want to be liked.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I have two more things I want to talk about before we move on. But like, that line before, I thought about it. It's, if I told you that a flower bloomed in a dark room, would you trust it? So what he means is that he's the flower and he bloomed in a dark room. The dark room was Compton, California, and and the flower was him. So that was a line I forgot.
So that's the nurture.
Yeah, that's basically the nurture. It's like,
Right.
well, it doesn't make any sense for me to become who I was in this situation, but I did it. And a lot of rappers are from Compton. But I mean, Kendrick's like a little bit different from a lot of the other rappers that are from Compton. But like, if you think about it, like Ice Cube and, you know, like a lot of the straight out of Compton, not straight out of Compton, NWA guys are like, Ice Cube does movies now. He's not a gangster anymore.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And neither is Kendrick Lamar. But
I
like
wonder-
a lot of guys are.
It's so funny that, sorry,
No, go
just
ahead,
that
go
Ice Cube went from saying like F the police to
Yeah.
being a police captain in 22 Jump Street. and
Exactly.
21 Jump Street.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I wonder if the reason why he became that flower in the dark room is because he had a way of expressing himself through music.
Yeah,
Maybe that was
definitely.
his escape, being able to get himself out, all the feelings he's feeling, all the emotions. Maybe that's what he needed.
Yeah, he actually was really into poetry in high school.
Oh.
And he was actually top of his English class. He had a really good relationship with his teachers, like with his English teacher. I think his English teacher still teaches at that. He went to a high school called Centennial High School in Compton, and I think she actually still teaches there.
Wow.
And because I saw somebody doing an interview with her, and she's basically going like, yeah, I mean, he was an amazing English student. He was always thinking outside of the box, and I mean, look at him now, right?
It's
Wow.
interesting how that works out. Like when it's always the rappers who and artists in general who were far more like intelligent and articulate in high school.
Yeah.
Who actually have lasting careers. Like
Exactly,
Kendrick has.
yeah.
Like, look, he hasn't fell off, and he's getting older now. Like, he's
Yeah.
not old by any stretch, but
That's a perfect transition to what we all want to talk about was the new phase of stuff, kind of. And basically, the question I want to start with is, why are new musicians using money and jewelry? I mean, not to say that old musicians or rappers haven't, but are using it more heavily as such a big part as their self-identification. Meaning, like, I feel like no matter what you're seeing about them, they're always flaunting what they own or what they're on, like in terms of like drugs. What do you think?
I think it's also like, as we were talking about before, how like how we're very easily affected from others and like what seems cool at the time. So when like these new school rappers come in and like flaunt, like I saw a video the other day of a little rapper flaunting a completely diamond grill and he was sipping lean and whatnot. Like people growing up watch that and they like they connect that with success. Like to them, that could be what success that looks like. That could be what their goal in life looks like because like that's what they see, right?
Yeah. Again, I brought that song up earlier, but J. Cole had a really like
Yeah.
that
That
song.
1985 song. Yeah, he talks to it's like it's directed at the little rappers.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of like discussing how like they don't understand how much like impact they have on like young children and like they look at you and I know one of the lines, I'll have to pull it up, but he's just talking to, in this circumstance, the rapper Lil Pump specifically, and he says like white kids look at you and see the way you act and like deep down inside they think like seeing you like do all these drugs and buy all this like expensive cars and stuff like that, that's what you're portraying as like the black man to like the white
Right, and
culture.
it's a caricature.
Yeah, it's a caricature, and he's like that doesn't like do us justice. Like we can be so much more of that as a race and as a people. So it just it kind of it's disappointing to the older age of rappers or the older age of just like people that look at that and it's like, oh, that's how we're being portrayed because that's like the top of the game in the eyes of the people who determine that, which are the fans of music and whatnot, right?
And if you think about it, like these guys are young, like Lil Pump's our age.
Yeah,
right?
Lil Pump is our age.
He's a month
if
older
you
than
were
me.
getting I think I'm older than him actually.
Yeah, he's born in
Which is
August of
kind of
2000.
depressing. But like when you're our age, think about it. When you get that positive feedback and you get like so much money from writing these songs, like I'm gonna keep doing
Yeah,
that.
and there's-
because I'm not really gonna think big picture about what I'm representing. I'm just thinking about doing what I want.
I know, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like you need people in your circle to kind of teach you like how it's like to not only grow up famous but to grow up with money and fame and whatnot, right? Because a lot of people that hits them and they just have no idea how to deal with it, and then they'll be going and buying as much as they want and like flaunting this money and all their like diamond girls and whatnot, right?
I mean,
So-
even weird point, but like even psychologically, like apparently guys' brains don't mature till we're 25. So like we've still
right.
got a few
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, the maturity stage for a lot of the new rappers is going to be it's going to be a big thing. Like they're going to be like, wow, realizing I was such a big influence on all these people and I had no idea. Well, I'm sure they know, but like they're not really doing anything about it because like, sorry, go, you want to say something?
No, it's all good.
I saw this video of these kids at like a trampoline park. Have you seen this? And like somebody puts Mo Bamba on,
Oh
yeah.
and they all start
Like
jumping.
in Sky Zone or
Yeah, it's like
whatever
it's
it
like
was.
a
Yeah, that was
it's like a
so funny.
trampoline park. Have you seen this, Maddie, or no? Okay, so it's a video of like on you know how like you go to like have you been to a trampoline park?
yeah.
You know they play music sometimes.
Yeah.
Somebody puts Mo Bamba on, but it's like a clean version, right?
Okay.
And like if you know that song, like it's
Yeah.
it's that,
Hype.
yeah, there's a lot of swear words in it that like probably kids that are going to trampoline parks shouldn't be saying.
Right, but it's a
Yeah.
clean version.
It's
And
the
they're-
clean
like, they're
version,
in middle school,
but
they know the words.
exactly. But that song it's so repetitive and that the swear words in it are so prominent that even in a clean version, the kids in the video are still saying it.
Yeah.
And it's like a swarm of like 100 kids and they're all saying like really bad words. Like
Wow.
My sister's
influence, yeah.
Yeah.
my little sister's about 11 and she does that kind of thing all the time. I'm like, stop! Like you don't know what that means.
yeah, not just even to say we should be saying it, but like that actually reminds me of like have you seen that video of it's this mother and she's on her son's Spotify account
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And she finds all his
and,
music on
and she
Spotify,
finds like she's listening to Life of Pablo and she's listening to that one song like it's really explicit. It's Father Stretch My Hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know exactly what I mean.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to.
Yeah, no, obviously we're not gonna say what she was listening to, but like, man, it just that and like the trampoline park video reminds me that like the influence is real. And when you see videos of it happening, you realize it's real.
I think from a different perspective, 'cause I'm not a huge rap fan, it's kind of cool to hear you guys talk about like the rappers or influencing young kids with like the gold in their teeth and everything.
Yeah.
From my stance, from like a country music, the influence is just so positive.
Yeah.
Like you guys, everyone knows the song "Live Like You're Dying" by Tim McGraw.
Yep.
And basically the song is just about
How
like.
does that go?
So it's like a middle-aged man was diagnosed with a sickness, but he's like, it's okay. Like I've lived my entire life. Like he knew he had the sickness, so he like went skydiving and he went rock climbing, did everything he wanted to do. He really experienced life. So I think that song is very influential in the sense of live like you're dying, live like you want to, like do what you want to do, make every day count. I feel like it's a very different influencer than rappers.
Yeah.
So like it's not all music is a negative influence, I think.
No, but I mean, I don't know if you could consider this a negative influence, but like if you listen to a lot of country, like obviously there's some depressing country music.
Oh
out there.
gosh,
Like,
yeah.
listen to like Johnny Cash, like you're gonna want to cry.
Sure.
It's not all positive, but it's just so raw emotionally. It's not. I feel like they don't misrepresent themselves as much.
No, yeah, they're definitely true to themselves. That's one thing I love about music is that, especially country music, is that whatever mood you're in, there's a song for it, you know?
Yeah.
And even if you like the wrong song comes on the playlist and you're showering, you can't change it. It just puts you in a whole different mood.
Yeah.
Right?
So, sorry, were you about to say something? Like, I've cut you off way too many times.
Oh no, it's all good. I do really like country in that aspect because at least most of the country I listen to, it's not like I know everything about the genre, but I do think it is a lot more raw, as you were saying, a lot more personal, a lot more happy or circumstances that everyone can relate to in a real level, whether it's like some sort of like love song or if it's something that makes it positive or just a song about hanging out with your friends, having some drinks, and like I don't know, having like a campfire or something like that. Like those songs are so positive. They're feel good music. I really appreciate that, and I think a guy that does that in the rap game at least is Chance the Rapper. I feel like everything he sings, like whether it's supposed
Positive,
to be
yeah.
very sad or anything, it feels so positive when he's rapping and it feels so personal. It's like you can tell he puts his heart and soul into
Yeah.
his music. And you can really appreciate that as like a fan of music because everything he talks about, like you can tell he means it from the bottom of his heart.
Yeah, it feels more genuine when they're actually opening up a bit.
Exactly, right?
Yeah, and the biggest reason why his music is positive is because his self is reflected in his music.
yeah.
Like he is a
He's a
positive
positive
person.
person.
Yeah,
right?
you see interviews with the guy. Sorry for cutting you off, but he's a very religious person. He's a very positive person. You see interviews out of him, like you just like that's a guy like if you had in your life like every moment you would have with him, it's just he would make you happy because
Yeah.
he's just like he's real. He's like found who he is.
Exactly,
And
yeah.
like we all know people where like they're just like express positivity 24/7 and like you need those people in your life and to see someone like in the music industry like that is very like
Yeah.
it's good. And the other thing I really like about him is he doesn't make any money off his music. He gives it away for free. The only way he makes money is off his concert tours or like merch he'll sell. But he thinks that every like all the music he makes, it's art. He thinks it should be public to the world without having to pay to access it.
Wow.
So he gives it away for free. So
I did
He
not
sounds
know
like
that.
someone
That's
people
great.
would really like gravitate towards.
Yeah.
no, I think he's
That positive feeling.
But
This one time this is like not really related, but like this one time I was in Nova Scotia over the summer, and I was talking to some person that we met there, my brother and I, and they were talking about how they love Chance the Rapper so much, and they were such a positive person. Like this was like such a happy person that I met, and like we were doing like a tour. It was like a tour. It was a tour guide.
Okay.
And they were like, "Oh my God, yeah, I saw him. I actually saw him in Chicago this one time riding his bike."
Oh, yeah?
Like in Chicago, and he fell off of his bike, and she's like, "I think he was stoned," because like, and like I completely believed her. She seems like such a genuine person, and like I completely believed her. And it's like the fans of Chance, which are so positive, are reflected as Chance, right? He's a positive guy,
Right.
and yeah, and like if you think about music, like going back to like how the self is portrayed in music, Chance is a really good example because he's a positive person. He has positive music, right? You think about other music. Think about maybe like I don't know anything about this genre, but just to use it as an example, emo music, like it's very dark. If you
Like
think
screamo maybe?
screamo. If you think about people that are making the music, it's like well they're reflecting themselves. They're reflecting the way they feel. right?
It's funny how their fans tend to be sort of in the same place.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
and I don't know which came first. Like, are they listening to that music because they feel that way, or do they feel that way because they're
Oh, good
so used to
question.
that music?
Say that
right?
one more time. Are
Like-
they? Yeah, come a
Like,
bit closer.
I don't know if people and the specific type of music they listen to, I don't know what effect influenced what first.
Right.
So like if you're listening to emo music, I don't know if it's making you sad or you're kind of like perpetually making yourself sad, or if you listen to country music, are you genuinely a more like relaxed, happier person? Or
Right. I definitely. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And I was gonna say, in my personal experience, I had just started listening to country music probably about a year and a half ago. I always listened to pop and like whatever and rock, but I found that I started listening to it because the friends I was hanging around were the friends that I gravitated towards were more happy, energetic people, and they would always have country music on. And then I began to like it because of who I was hanging around and who I was becoming. And I stuck with it because I put on my country music and I feel happy, and it puts a smile on my face. So I'm on the sense of I listen to it not because that's who I am originally, but because that's how it makes me feel.
And going back to what you said, I definitely see both arguments for that. Like, is it one way or is it the other? Because if you think about it, when you're sad, you want to listen to sad music.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you're happy, you want to listen to happy music. It's a mood changer. So that's why I see, like, are you sad in the first place, or are you sad because you've listened to it? Because you could also listen to one of those songs and feel sad, right? Like when you listen to a lot of country music that sometimes sometimes people are in moods that want to make them, you just
Yeah,
want
of
to
course.
be in a sad mood and you just want to
You want to feel the way that you feel.
Exactly.
But in that sense, then why won't people put on a happy song if they're sad? You know?
Right. That's
Yeah.
what- sorry.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
Sorry,
no,
go
it is crazy how much, like, I notice this. Let's say, like, I wake up and I throw my headphones in. The first song that comes on can really dictate the way I feel for that day. So if it's a very, like, positive, uplifting song, I feel good while I'm getting ready, like, going in the shower and whatnot. Like, if there's something a little more down and I listen to it all the way through, maybe I'll be in that mind state and I'll just, like, subconsciously pick up on those vibes and take that into the day with you.
Have you ever just been like walking somewhere, you're listening to music and you're like you have a sadder song on, and then like when the next song comes on and it's a more like energetic or happier song, you immediately like the way you walk
Yeah.
changes.
Oh,
yeah,
You
I get
stand up
that.
straight. It's weird.
Yeah.
Like I noticed that yesterday actually. That was like,
Spotify.
And you walk with the beat too.
Yeah, you walk with the beat. Spotify actually has a playlist called "Walking Like a Boss." I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. And like, you know the song, just to give an example, you know the song by the Arctic Monkeys called, what's their most popular song? Do you know who they are?
Yeah.
yeah.
What do you mean or something? Oh, no.
Don't know. I
Do I
don't.
want to know?
Do I want to
wanna
know?
know?
Yeah.
Oh
And it's
yeah,
like,
you could definitely
you know,
walk like a boss
the-
to that.
yeah,
song.
like the beat is like, it's basically the playlist it picks songs that have beats to like what your like a usual like stride would be, right? So you're
That's
just
cool.
walking, you're like, oh shit, yeah. this feels
Spotify
great.
also has this thing a little bit different, but for working out, when you're running, it takes like the strides, you can tell, it can sense your motion,
Really?
and it will put on like electronic music that's in your
Spotify does this?
in the full version.
That's so
It puts on like the movement, the beat of your movement,
Really?
and if your movement changes, it'll give you new music that changes.
Does it
to
use your Fitbit or something like that?
No, it uses the phone movement.
Probably
what?
what's
Yeah.
it called? The accelerometer thing.
Oh, that, yeah.
It's cool. So when you're running, like it kind of motivates you to keep running at your pace, which is so good.
That's awesome. I had no
Yeah.
idea.
I've even noticed that with like if you're lifting weights or something, and like there's like a consistent beat, and you like start lifting the thing to that like in that momentum, and you're like what?
Forced you to do like more reps, like,
It's
you know what I
forced you
mean?
to go way slower than you wanted to. Forced you to go
That's
really fast.
Music
Yeah.
is so motivational, not just emotionally, but physically. Like no one's
Yeah.
ever gonna work out to like a slow, sad song. You're
Yeah.
always gonna work out to like a.
No, I'm gonna put
Yeah.
on like some 6ix9ine or
Yeah.
something. It's like
So physically, it's motivating as well, which is so cool to think about.
that's a lie. I don't really like 6ix9ine. Don't worry, guys.
No? Why not?
Once in a while, it's okay, but it's just so ignorant.
I know, it is. I remember this one time, like, I was just, I was downtown in, like, Toronto, and, like, there was these 4 guys in a convertible, just with the top down, just absolutely, like, ignorance, like, perfect word. Like, they were just, like, absolutely blasting the music, and, like, just to see the people in the car, and then, like, the music, and, like, the car, it's like, oh my god,
I always
who
feel like
are
such
you?
a tool if I'm doing that kind of
Yeah.
thing. Like if I'm like if I'm in the car with my buddies and
Yeah.
we're let's say we're going to a rugby game or something, and we're trying to get ourselves hyped up, and we have like the most ignorant, like unintelligent music playing, and people are just
Yeah.
looking at you because you have it way too loud.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
You're a bunch of like university aged kids.
Yeah.
And you can totally, I don't kind of touch base on this already, but you can just, people tend to, I think, judge people based on the music they listen to.
That's true.
Like if I'm like, oh, this guy is blasting his rap music, but already, without even knowing you or anything, talking to you, I already have this mental image of who you are. It's a first impression, just knowing the music you listen to.
Yeah.
I think that's like,
It is a first impression. You're right.
I think
Yeah.
I think as we go back to like as we talk about how we
Almost
judge people based on their music preference, that's what kind of gets me a little bit upset over the new age of rappers coming to the game today, because I tell a lot of people I'm a huge like rap fan and whatnot, and like the music to portray that nowadays is very non-lyrical. It's
Yeah, people.
it's-
When you say that, people think something else.
yeah.
Yeah,
When I say lyricists like J. Cole and Kendrick and positive guys like Chance, and people with different outlooks on life and different sort of styles, that I feel like a lot of people, if they just look at the surface of what the rap industry is nowadays, it's nothing like it once was, or it is if you take a deeper look into it. So it kind of makes me upset, like when I get associated with people that don't really,
Like Lil Uzi.
yeah, like Lil Uzi or Lil Pump being like very loud, ignorant rap that is. I don't want that to portray myself. So it's kind of upsetting that people do portray each other based on their music taste.
I really agree with that actually, because it's like I'm into older rap for the most part, sort of like 95 to like 2005, 2010-ish. So like older rap is far more lyrical, and even the people who aren't lyrical are still far more lyrical than most of these new age rappers. So like even like okay, people talk about like Tupac versus Biggie, right?
Yeah.
Tupac was really lyrical, and Biggie could write a flow better.
Yeah,
But he was still far more lyrical than Lil Pump,
exactly.
right? Or like Nas and like all those guys. They're legendary, and their music was way more intelligent.
Yeah, and I do think we have people in the game still today that can do it.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
Such as like as I said, J. Cole and Kendrick are, I would say the top of the game in talent wise. And I think it's interesting. Have any of you guys know like those like elder react videos and whatnot?
Yeah.
Like on I saw one where they were reacting to like J. Cole lyrics. And like before they showed him this, they showed him a lot of Lil Pump, a lot of like 6ix9ine, stuff like that, bringing them in. So all these like 70, 80-year-olds are like they're like reading these J. Cole lyrics and being like, is this rap? Like this is like actual poetry. He's rapping about
right.
real stuff. And they listen to it and they're like, we could actually like vibe to this, right? Because it's
Yeah.
not all about like money, sex, drugs, stuff of that nature. It's like people don't realize there's a lot more to it if you take like a deep dive into the industry, and like 80-year-olds that would never even think they would associate with rap are like loving the music that they're playing for them, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
they just don't understand
just
that
the
there's more to
lyrics.
that, right?
well,
Or
with,
the
with
lyrics
that,
themselves.
you got the Super Bowl this year. What's that guy?
Travis Scott.
No,
Or
no, the big
Maroon 5.
big boy,
Oh, that
Oh,
guy.
big boy.
Okay, yeah.
whatever his name is. Like that's the first time ever at a Super Bowl did they play like a real like rap. Even Travis Scott. Normally it's people like
Maroon 5 and like
Maroon
U2
5 or, like,
and
yeah,
Bruno Mars,
people
something
that
Justin
everyone
Timberlake,
knows, that
yeah.
everyone like older people can appreciate the
so many people
music.
watch Super Bowl. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a huge audience. But then this year, I mean rap is becoming so big
Yeah.
and influential that people like Travis Scott and Big Boy, people that like elder people probably don't even know.
Yeah.
People like me, like I don't know it. They were playing. I think that was a really cool idea
Yeah.
too.
So, like, I think 2 years ago, rap music surpassed, I think it was in 2016 or 2017 or something like that. Rap music surpassed rock music as the popular genre. So when people say pop music, pop means two things, right? It means like, people, when you say pop, you think like Ariana Grande and all that. But like, pop also means popular music,
Yeah.
right? So popular music is technically rap music now.
Wow.
And it makes sense that Travis Scott is now on the Super Bowl because he's one of the popular artists,
Right.
right?
Isn't it?
Go ahead.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
Mhm.
I just find it so crazy that how huge rap has become, because it's really only been around for a few decades, right? Like maybe into the late 70s,
Yeah,
but like not really. It really was in the 80s. Like that's
yeah.
24 or 40 years ago ish. Yeah, not that long.
Yeah, I wanted to add something to, I think, what you said, Will, earlier. You said that, like, in the beginning, it was Tupac and Biggie. Biggie had the flow, and Tupac was, like, more lyrical. And if you think about it, it's like now you compare two kinds of rappers, same sort of thing, right? One is more lyrical, and one has no lyrics, but has a flow, and that's what attracts people to music. That's not lyrical. It has to have something and has a flow, right? And what were people back then thinking about rap music, right? People weren't accepting rap music as much as a new genre back then, and people even now are making kind of a similar comparison between lyrics and flow. You know what I mean? Between Tupac and Biggie, or even just saying I don't like the genre in general back then. And now it's like honestly, you and me have debates about this all the time.
Yeah.
I'm usually on your side with this. Like, we usually agree, but like, and I have a friend back home where, like, when I started liking rap music, I started liking NWA first, and then I started liking Kendrick Lamar, and then like basically this friend showed me a lot of like the newer music, and I was like, I was telling him, like, I don't really like listening to it because it's like I like listening to Kendrick Lamar and I like listening to the lyrics, and I find it interesting that there's actually value to it. You know what I mean? And but what he said is that if you were able to look past the fact that there's no lyrical value and just like it for what it is, then you can start to actually accept it.
Yeah, and I do understand that point of view, and I've always kind of been on the side where I've been on the side where I get frustrated with new rap, but I do understand there is a fan base for it. And when you were saying how it's like lyricism versus flow, but I do think even flow has kind of deteriorated over the years as to it's more lyricism versus production.
Yeah,
Like
Now this is the beat.
which
Yeah,
is the
versus
beat,
beat,
which
yeah.
is like, which gets outsourced and whatnot to someone who's not even the rapper in the first place. And I can find the appreciation for the new music. I think there's a time and a place for it, but I think when these rappers are very like one-dimensional and don't show themselves in like a much like more serious light, and just it's very like about very specific topics. They either rap about like money or drugs or sipping lean and stuff like that. Like, it's tough for me to connect to that, but like, sure, like before we like go out and have a good night or
Exactly,
something,
yeah.
well, you'll get fired up to it, right? Because it's like, it's kind of more like the beat is a lot more energetic and like gets you
Exactly.
fired up. You can all kind of like party to it, right? But I think there still needs to be that rap where when you have time by yourself, just listening to your own music and time to reflect, like, it's very good if you have a lyricist that you can connect to, because it shows the rap industry in a different light and you can connect to it into a much deeper way.
Exactly.
Well, that kind of relates to what we were saying about how rap, or not rap, how music and your emotion can be kind of intertwined. It's like, if you want to be fired up, yeah, like the sound can make you fired up, but maybe you don't find it actually good music to listen to and appreciate. But it's completely subjective.
Yeah,
I agree.
Like,
So
we can be as snobby as we want, but
exactly.
in conclusion,
It's just the
yeah,
sound.
I really think that music definitely influences our emotions, our physical state.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've talked about how artists can portray themselves and their personal experiences through music, but also how listeners like us can relate to their experiences and almost portray ourselves to the music we listen to and first impressions and everything.
Maddie, would you say you're wrapping it up?
I'm wrapping it up, Mark. Thank you guys for listening to our podcast. Hope to see you next
Bye.
time.
Thank you.
all right,
Bye.
cheers.